What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Soul Hoops channel. My name is Jeffrey, and I am joined, as always, by Ryan Matias, and we have a special guest with us today, Drew, aka I forget which account is which on
Off
Twitter.
the dribble. That's the main
Off
account.
the dribble is
Off
the main
dribble
account.
without an E specifically.
Join us today to talk a little bit of finals preview. Game one is tonight, so we're starting this, recording this on June 5th. So we'll talk a little bit about that series. And then we're going to talk some draft. Just, whatever we want to talk about draft-wise. Might go a little bit deeper into it. I know my boy Drew's been wanting to talk about the deep dives of the draft. So that's what we're here for. But we're getting into basketball. How are we all doing today? We're doing good. I'm hoping on this wonderful Thursday.
Doing good. I mean, I worked the entire day. So just one of those days. The summers in Minneapolis are so nice. So I've been soaking, the evenings up, especially. I just turned 21 a month ago, so I've been hitting breweries and just kind of living that life. So
there
it's
you
been
go.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
You got to drive over the border for the real drinking hours.
Oh yeah, you do. You really do.
Yeah, I had a good day. I have a couple weeks off. I was telling before the show where it's really just nothing. We have training camp for the team coming up like June 15th, but I'm home for a few weeks and it's really just enjoying the sun, some day drinking. Like it's fun. Like
Are you going back to Wazoo? Women's,
yeah, back to
again?
Wazoo. Yeah, back to Wazoo women's basketball until December, and then I graduate.
There you go. Drew, how are we doing today?
Pretty average day. I'm not gonna lie, pretty average day. I woke up early this morning, and I kind of just sat in bed, worked out, got a little reading in. So
yeah,
there you go.
Coming winding down off that hockey high I know you had from last night.
Very fun game too, by the way.
I completely missed it. What happened?
It went into overtime, and I think they scored with like 30 seconds left in the overtime. It was pretty sick.
Damn.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit at the gym. I was watching at the gym yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's get into it then. Finals.
How are you, Jeff? First of all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
How
good.
are you, Jeff?
I'm good. I've been still apartment searching for the last couple months. The apartments that I was looking at got scooped up, unfortunately. So I'm back to the hunt. So yeah, but other than that, not much. Just been working. My birthday was on Tuesday. So been just chilling, but thank you. I've been tired though. So everyone's like, what'd you do for your birthday? I was like, nothing. I was like, chilled at home, ate some dinner, watched TV. I don't know. But
we talk about
I'm doing
all that
good.
Drinking. You better get to that drinking this weekend. For the
I did last weekend. I went out to the bars. Yeah, I went after it. Some friends got left behind downtown, so we had to, search through the night. Somehow ended up sleeping on a couch with no pillow and no blanket on my own birthday, which is kind of bogus. But I was cuddled up like a cat for like the sunshine for heat throughout the morning. Yeah, it was it was a rough night after that, but we survived it. Got some food truck food afterwards, so that was for lunch in the morning. Well, let's get into the basketball then. Pacers, OKC starts tonight. Obviously, I think the last time me and Matias talked, we kind of talked about the conference finals, and I think both series went the way that we predicted. I think we both said.
Yeah.
I said that it would take a really crazy offensive, hot stretch from Minnesota as a team. Ryan's obviously a Wolves fan, so I haven't really been able to talk to you since that. But I mean,
I think we said like OKC in 5 or 6.
Yeah, and I saw Pacers in 6 or 7. I think.
Mm-hmm. And then we said the Knicks had a chance, but we were. I was pretty confident in the Pacers, but Brunson scared me a little bit in terms of attacking that defense. But
his offense, his on-off numbers, especially defensive rating wise, was really rough. Like really rough. And the Cat Brunson on-off numbers are like
yeah. That's why I'm not shocked at that. Before we get into the finals, I'm just going to touch. I'm not shocked on the Thibodeau news. That's really the only big news that's been going on. But Tom Thibodeau fired, New York's head coach. I mean, That's kind of why I get it, because you have Cat and Brunson. There's no way you should have these offensive and
Well,
just these
I
lineup
saw.
struggles in general. You
Do
just
you see the
shouldn't,
Shams
even with
report?
OG and Macau. No, I didn't.
You see the Shams report today that the Knicks called about KD at the deadline.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
I saw that.
So I'm thinking, like, were they like going Cat for KD swap?
They were
Offering
going
up?
probably Macau OG pieces. I doubt they were
I
going
don't
their bigs.
know.
They have no.
I
They don't
don't-
have no big depth. Why would they?
Well, Robinson was coming back from injury around that time.
Yeah, but you can't rely on Rob. I love Mitch Robinson.
Well,
He's
yeah,
awesome
but it's
Yeah, you're gonna have
but
Ariel.
any sane person knows you can't have that as center one.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. It was just interesting to me. It's just interesting.
I'm curious. I want to see the Knicks try this core. Maybe like do some fringe moves with a new coach. See if they can do. I know the Cavs just lost to the Pacers, but Cavs had a historic regular season, and they were kind of like underperforming and kind of soft
Sure.
offensively in a similar way. And I think that Brunson's not soft offensively. I think the scheme is kind of limiting everyone but Brunson, and I think
He's
he
just
can
spam.
elevate everybody else. Yeah, I think he can elevate everybody else, and I'm curious to see what a new coach does. And if they run into similar issues, and this is really their peak, and you make a move, but I don't know. I don't mind the Thibodeau fire personally.
I don't mind it either. I think Tibbs is great for like if like the Knicks were 5 years ago. If you have a team where you're trying to establish like good habits and you're trying to get in the playoffs and like build a team that knows how to win,
Similar
like
to how when he came to Minnesota.
right.
Yeah.
I think Tibbs is like in theory, I think he's a good coach for that, but like I think we're seeing now the Knicks, like they're trying to win a championship. Tibbs has never been the team to take a team to the championship. I don't think he's ever coached in the finals even. So I'm surprised by it just because, I just didn't see it coming. That wasn't really on my radar. Also, I think Rick Brunson being on a staff makes it complicated too. Like,
well, yeah, there was more reports too about that players are not a fan of that. But
just,
did they
to be honest, they should probably shut up because like he got his
Justice
son to take $100 million
right.
discount.
I don't know how they like I can't imagine they want to let Rick Brunson go, given that his son is the best player on the team. But also, like, if he's part of the problem and he was part of Tibbs' staff, like, I don't know. That's an interesting like subplot that I'm like a little bit interested to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me with the Knicks, I was just never a fan of the way like Matthias was talking about, like the offensive structure there. Like it just looked so choppy almost as like when like the season was going on, and like unless Brunson was hitting every shot, it was really gross to watch.
Yeah.
And you had like the Cat like started to get into some of his bad habits, I think more towards like after the trade deadline, middle season, with just like not allowing like the game to really come to him as easy as he has in the last few years. I felt like he started shooting a lot of those like deep threes, but he wasn't shooting a lot of threes. And, like when he was getting to the rim, it wasn't really as effective as has been in the past. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where they go because they kind of put all their assets into the Mikal move and Cat move. So like they're really stripped down on assets. They can't make a star swing for sure if one comes available, really, unless you're getting a KD for Cat swap. But then it's like, okay, well, now you have a big man. Like you don't really have a real center.
But my thing is like I know the Knicks structure is kind of weird because your 1A is Jalen Brunson, and although he's probably a borderline top 10 player, I would say he's probably top 10. You can't. It's the small guard. It's the small guard limited impact. At some point, a small guard can only do so much on the court. And that's just how basketball is, and it's why you're seeing a rise of these skilled bigs nowadays. But
if anyone knows that as good as anyone, it's you.
Yes.
But
But
Portland Trailblazers dilemma all over again.
it's one of those things where it's like they're so good, and Macau is a really good player, right? Cat is an amazing player. It's just they need to figure out how to use them properly. And I felt
Yeah.
like a lot of times, I don't know if it was a mental thing with Macau. I definitely know it was a scheme thing with Cat, but there were some times where I felt like Macau did not feel like himself in the offense, and I don't know if it was mental or scheme. That one was harder to tell. I don't know if it was something Tibbs was telling him, or if it was something he was writing up, but it felt like they came out hot, and it was like, oh yeah, they're gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
People did early on say they were an Eastern Conference Finals team. They ended up being one, but
Sure.
it was through a path that many did not expect in the first like couple weeks of the season, and I think that's because Tibbs did not maximize that talent he had on the roster at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there's some fringe moves they can make that will help scheming around Cat and Brunson and Macau better. But I mean, McBride's a hooper. I like his game. He's a little bit of a shot chucker at times, but he's a hooper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, like, they made the Eastern Conference final still. It's not like they had a horrible season. Like, they beat Boston.
Sure.
So it's like,
And they would have beat Boston even with the Tatum.
Yeah, even with Tatum being healthy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It'll be hard. It'll be hard to make moves as well, though, because they have a lot of guys who are going to get paid a lot of money with the new CBA. Like, it'll be hard to make margin moves. But, I think they're targeting the Cavs assistant. Not the one that the Suns just hired, but there was another one.
Johnny Bryant.
Yeah.
They were interviewing. Yeah. I think he'll end up becoming.
And he was an assistant with the team a few years ago. I'm pretty sure. So I mean, that
makes sense.
We'll see. But I think we can move on to like more like finals talk.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I think the first thing I think of when I think of this series is just that like I think the Pacers really have zero margin for error, and the things that like they can control, they kind of need to control, and I think they need to dominate a lot of those things too. I think like obviously the Pacers offense compared to the Wolves offense is very, very different. The Pacers play a fast offense that's built off randomness, ball movement, multiple ball handlers. Timberwolves offense is a lot different. I think the Thunder's defense was like created in a lab almost to match up against the Wolves defense or the Wolves offense. I mean, so like I think that matchup, the Thunder, I think we're just going to crush no matter what. And even though I think the Pacers offense is a lot better and a lot different, I still think the Thunder will force them to do so many things that like they're uncomfortable with doing, or make them, take care of the ball like they've never taken care of the ball before, if the Pacers want any chance of winning. So I guess like that's the first thing I think of, is just like reducing turnovers, finding like even the smallest things you can exploit and get guys in good positions with. I think the Pacers will just need to do like literally all of those things, and I don't think they can afford to screw up on them for more than a game.
Yeah, I would say that the number one thing for me though is like a lot of the stuff that the Pacers have been super successful at so far in this playoff run has been like forcing like big on small switches onto poor guard defenders. The problem is there is no poor guard defenders.
It's either like
OKC rotation, like the Siakam switch. The Siakam switch isn't like it is going to be on
Siakam, Caruso.
Yeah, like it's going to be
Caruso,
Wallace, Dort.
I can't remember who it was. Someone on Twitter, she did a great breakdown of it, but she talked about how Carlisle's really good at mixing in off-ball actions with that stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually do think the Pacers have some inbuilt actions, because if you could have Nembhard, initiate the high-low and have Halliburton off-ball, and if Halliburton is in an off-ball action, you're pulling Dort, you're pulling Caruso, you're pulling whoever's on him up. So then it makes doubling hard. And yes, the mismatch isn't as mismatchy with OKC because they have a bunch of demons down there that are like little 6'2" assholes. I mean as a compliment.
Yeah.
It's not really the mismatch that you're thinking of, but I think that they do a really good job of what a lot of NBA teams don't do, and that's off-ball action on those mismatches.
Mhm.
Sure.
And the big thing that I'm curious about, you talked about it a little bit, Ryan, is that turnovers. OKC generates so many turnovers, but Halliburton is so good at just keeping the ball safe. Really, the
Mhm.
Pacers are. So I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a big emphasis on will they force Halliburton to turn the ball over? If not, I really think the Pacers can win this if they do some things, and I think that's push the pace and take care of the ball. That's hard to do at the same time. That's really hard to do at the same time, but they have to do it. The Denver
Yeah.
series, they pushed the pace a little bit, and you found a lot of the defensive lapses, especially with Chet, because he can get over aggressive. Dort can get over aggressive. Just good defenders in general can get over aggressive. It's just kind of in the nature of being a good defender. But in transition, a lot of times when Denver hit the big shots or went on those runs, it's because they were getting the ball, they're throwing it out, going on, running quick, and
Yeah.
you can catch OKC before they can establish their help and before they can really establish a good dig line. And I think the Pacers are the best team to do that. Like, think of a better team that's going to
Yeah.
move the ball in
Yeah.
transition and pass it quick and won't let the help establish. Like, I really think there's an algorithm they can attack, but like you said, Ryan, they have to be perfect.
Mhm.
They have to be really, really perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when it also comes to attacking that transition and pushing the pace, I think one thing does make it a little bit difficult because what is your options in the half court to like offset the pace? Like if OKC can mitigate that, pushing the ball up, those outlet passes that they love to throw to 3/4 court to, Obi or Neesmith or whoever to get those easy rim scoring opportunities in transition. Are you able to come up with a half court offensive set that, like you were saying, with the off ball movement and all that stuff that can mitigate that? The problem is like I was saying too earlier, when you're switching, when your mismatch hunts are negated as much as they probably are against OKC,
Mhm.
you're probably not going to be able to create as much half court opportunity if the transition isn't working in a game. And then on top of that too, like OKC does have somewhat of a size problem, but the thing is both of their bigs, like Chet and Hartenstein, being able to play alongside of each other and play such drastically different styles of defense and offense really creates it's essentially like a supercharged version of like Siakam and Turner kind of, honestly, like on defensively. And I'm interested to see how that goes. And I think one thing it's kind of a gimmick that people run on Twitter, but like making Halliburton a scorer is actually kind of a real thing, because like when he gets downhill, he's looking to pass before he scores, as he should. He's one of the best playmakers in the league. But if you can force him to, keep having to create rim opportunity after rim opportunity, you kind of mitigate his ability to dictate the game offensively as a playmaker. Because those sets and that movement doesn't operate as well if Halliburton's unable to play make the way that they want him to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I feel like in this series, especially, and like this is kind of how it's been for the Pacers a lot this playoffs. And like, I just think that Halliburton is so key to everything they do on offense, where like, I don't think they can't afford like mediocre games from him. Cause if for whatever reason, I think if Halliburton is not finding the reads as quickly as he needs to be, or he's not involved in the offense as much as he should be, I kind of think the Pacers are dead on arrival in those games. To me, I don't know. I just think that like the vibe I get from this series is that Halliburton really is going to need to be like great basically
Yeah.
every game if the Pacers like want a chance to win. And I think that's I feel like it's kind of a lazy answer sometimes to be like the star players gotta show up, but I really do think that in this,
It's not with the Pacers,
with the Pacers,
especially with a defense like
yeah,
OKC. It's not.
like
It's
yeah,
because their defense you have to manipulate. If you're gonna try to play them face up, you're just good fucking luck. Like you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose that matchup every time if you allow them to establish themselves. Like, you're
And that's
screwed.
what the Wolves try to do. It's like you can't just give the ball to Ant and like, well, let's hope he beats. He splits the
I thought
double.
Ant played pretty good, dude.
I think
thought
he
Yeah.
Ant played,
They didn't run enough stuff though.
I mean, he did all right, but it's like you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win the series by doing that.
Ant
you know?
is like a top 10 player, but he's not the level of player where it's like I can beat an all-time great defense by myself.
I don't think a
He's
single
not
guy
there
in
yet. I think he's
NBA
close.
like
And I think
that
it was a
is
good
there
learning
anymore.
moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some guys I would. I mean, Jokic almost did
Yeah.
it pretty much,
Oh,
but like he had bad games though. So like he had bad games. Like his
That was
And
Christian
the
Braun, bro.
Thunder,
That's
the
Christian
Thunder
Braun, bro.
fumbled some of those games too. Let's be honest.
yeah,
Like game
yeah,
one,
they should have won game one. That was so bad.
and that
the-
Aaron Gordon alley oop, like
And the
that
Aaron Gordon
really should
pull
not
up.
have gone to 7 if we're being
The
honest.
one
It was a-
thing also I will say that Denver exposed, they exposed the moving and fast break. They can get over aggressive and you can break down their fast break matchups. That's how they won the games. If you look,
Yeah.
a lot of their, again, I said a lot of big moments, a lot of how they stole the games and clutch moments, pushing the pace. Pacers have done that all playoffs. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I saw a stat from Basketball Index, and they were like, in terms of difference of pace and possessions per game from regular season to playoffs, they were the least difference. So they're still
Yeah.
playing. They're playing
makes
fast. They're playing a lot more like their regular season than most teams do. Which
Mhm.
I can't remember when I talked about that a little bit. I think slowing down for the playoffs, like don't slow down unless people make you slow down.
Yes.
Like there's no reason to slow down for no fucking reason. But
Yeah.
Well,
get
yeah,
back.
that's
Yeah.
so true.
People slow down in the playoffs just to run a stagnant pick and roll. That's what the Wolves did a lot, and it pissed me off. Like watching the Wolves actually pissed me off against OKC.
You'd think
But-
we'd be a good transition team with Anthony Edwards and all these fast players. We've been one of the worst transition teams in the NBA for like years and years. It's crazy.
Welcome to that Bucks life, bro. You got
I was going to say, we have Giannis, so we're never in the top 5 in transition points per possession.
It used to be all the time, I feel like. And then like
Yeah.
the last couple of years, it's just been like
Now
nope.
we got Doc Rivers running like archaic 2008 offense.
But I really think Indiana can attack in the fast break, and I think we talked about Siakam and we talked about Chet and Hartenstein, their kind of unique defensive scheme. But the other thing I think that Denver exposed with Eric Gordon is Chet is not an established wing defender yet.
No.
He makes the mistakes out on the perimeter a lot, and if you get a power forward that plays more like a wing than a true power forward, I think you can really take advantage of that. And I think
Siakam is that guy.
Siakam can take advantage of it. And also, I think a lot of times they ran the mismatch high-low against the Knicks with Siakam down low and Turner up top. I think Turner's going to have to really take care of that mismatch, and they're going to have Siakam outside and bring Chet outside because that'll most likely be the mismatch. And I think he can kind of take advantage of Chet's over-aggressive wing defensive play style overall. And I think that's the way they attack it. Fast break, mismatch with Miles Turner and Siakam. You pull Chet away from the rim, and you hope you catch him chasing for blocks.
And hope Shea doesn't do what he's been doing so far in this few series.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys got anything else about this series? Any other things you want to know?
Honestly, like not really. I think we got to see how game 1 goes. Like it's tonight, so
Yeah.
like I almost don't think it's worth it going in like way more than we have, just because like
Yeah,
it
I'm
is
not sure what
tonight.
they're gonna do. And these are two
You,
really good.
you think
coaches.
Indiana throws zone? They haven't thrown zone much, I feel like, this playoffs, if I remember correctly.
It'll be
You
hard to
think they
run
throw
zone because they don't have a lot of good off-ball defenders either. So it's like
True.
like Minnesota
Yeah.
tried to run a zone, and they don't have a lot of good off-ball defenders. Like Ant was getting back cut pretty frequently. I think it was game 3 or 4. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
probably. I mean, they might try it, but even then, like, I don't know. The problem is running zone would probably be a good idea for them just to test OKC's shooting. But I think they'll probably need to just go to the straight up. They'll probably just need to show a ton of help on Shea and just pray that other guys can't knock down shots.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
And I think
because-
if you Oh, sorry. Go
Shea
ahead.
just attacks zone so well too, though. I mean, he was playmaking so well against that zone.
He's really learned how to attack that zone. He struggled a bit in the regular season and start the playoffs, but I think it was game 4 or game 5. He really just figured it out against Denver.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
guys got
know.
any predictions for it for the series then?
OKC in 6.
Yeah,
I think Indiana gets one Halliburton game and one either Siakam or role player game.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say
Neesmith game.
Thunder. I'm gonna say Thunder in 7. I think the Thunder close it out at home. Yeah, that's just kind of where my head's at. I think the Pacers. I think the Pacers are gonna steal one of the first 2 games in OKC.
I wouldn't be surprised if they
I
win
agree.
the first game.
They could win tonight. I honestly, I don't want to say I'd bet on it, but like I kind of feel like they might.
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably OKC in 6. If it gets out of hand, like if they've just stomped the hell out of them these first 2 games, it's probably gonna be a 5-game series. I mean, obviously it's not like a hot take. It's like, oh, if they beat them by 20 in the first 2 games, but like OKC is like a really momentum team too. Like if their offense is flowing or they start winning really, like you start against the Wolves. Once they blew them out one game, it was like it's over.
It was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say the Pacers are the opposite. They've had the most road wins in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Like they have been dominant on the road. It's
Mhm.
it kind of makes no sense. They're just straightforward,
I think they
straight
only-
shoot, and they figure it out. If Halliburton's struggling, if Siakam's struggling, it don't fucking matter. They'll step up. So I'm very curious about how it's kind of like Miles Turner said in an interview. It's a power of friendship versus the best team in the league and the best player in the league. I don't care what OKC fans say. I've been very on Twitter like passive on saying they're like one of the best teams ever because I think net rating is a little like skewed season to
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
But OKC is in terms of to their peers, they were dominant this year and they're a very, very good team. Don't get it twisted, but
Mhm.
I think it's kind of fun seeing this kind of matchup of styles because really it's best
Yeah.
player in the league this season, best player in this last 96 games versus the best team, and it's just really, really intriguing. I think like you said, Ryan, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to 7. I think the Pacers are going to steal one, and I think Carlisle is low-key an offensive genius. I don't want to. If he just crumbles and they suck and the defense, I wouldn't also be shocked. But
Another guy that wanted
know.
the Bucks job before he took the Pacers job.
I don't know. I've always been high on Halliburton. I really like this offense. I like Siakam. He's been on this stage before. OKC hasn't. Experience debatable, but I think there's a real shot. I see a lot of media being like, yeah. Like, I don't know. Everyone's bored about this. So everyone's not entertained. Everyone's complaining, but I think this is going to be a really fun finals.
They're ready for trade season. All right, well, there it is.
Drew, you got anything?
Yeah,
I'll say Aaron Neesmith has a 30-point game in this series at some point.
Hell,
probably.
Yeah.
At some point, he has a 30-point game.
Chris Middleton disciple.
Man.
All right, well, let's talk a little draft here then. I know Ryan's got to get going here in a couple minutes, so I know Ryan wanted to talk. He did a little bit of a mock draft for the lottery, right? And you wanted to talk about some of those, and then you go ahead with whatever you had planned for that.
Yeah, so I made another mock draft today. I don't know if I want to read the whole thing to you guys.
We'll just pick out some fits that you thought maybe.
Yeah, I think there are some really interesting like spots in the draft and some teams that kind of have to make some tough decisions based on how things go. I think what we've been talking about for a long time is pick 3. You know, this has gone on way before the lottery was even finalized as to it's pretty clear that Flag goes number 1 to any team.
Yeah.
And then there's also probably like a 99% chance that Dylan Harper goes 2 to whatever team gets 2.
Yeah.
The Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe, kind of pool there is still a little bit debatable. I think a team like the Sixers could kind of afford to go either direction. But I guess I want to ask you guys, is it just clearly Ace Bailey, or is it VJ, or is it some other name that we don't really think?
I have a very bold decision on this. So my theory is with the Sixers is you can either, if I were them, I would either trade down, try to get a veteran asset and a later pick in the lottery, and I would take Senge, the French guy.
Yeah,
That's my guy. I think you look at they're doing a 2 timeline thing.
Not by choice. They just suck. You cutting out there.
Phone call. Sorry, I was getting a phone call and it popped up on my computer. I completely lost my train of thought.
So they're doing
Timelines. You got
timelines.
Embiid, you got Paul George, Maxey, their draft pick, Jared McCain. Jared McCain was a productive player immediately. He's gonna come back from injury. He's gonna be a good player, right?
Yeah.
They don't need guards, so they need to take a player that they think can provide now while also having an upside swing because they're playing on 2 timelines. I think Ace Bailey fits that because he could come and play defense, shoot corner threes, and figure out his shot making and decision making later. But I think really Noah Senge fits that because he has a little bit of a passing flair that I really like, and I think he can come play defense, play that multi-positional forward, come in for an old Paul George, and still kind of develop into a DHO/playmaker role for Maxime McCain because I'm thinking long-term and short-term fit. And when I'm thinking Ace Bailey, long-term fit, does that really fit with McCain and Maxey? Because then you have no playmakers. You have no real passers on that squad. So I'm thinking Senge comes in and he's a borderline I'm thinking like a Draymond Green type.
Mm-hmm.
Like you develop him into a more power forward who play makes. Because I think in the French league, he's shown he can throw that kind of lead bounce pass. And you run McCain, and that's modern offense. Is that you run your shooting players off of split screens and shit like that. So you just run McCain and Maxey off of a bunch of off-ball action via like the Warriors do, and I'm thinking Senge fits that playmaking role immediately. I would take him at 3. I know some people have him going at 20. Some people have him at 3. I'm more on the 3.
Well,
I had Killian Hayes at like 2. So I can't. These Frenchmen confuse me.
No, I think if they're gonna stick and pick, I would probably go Ace just to get more size. But I could see them going for an Edgecombe type guy. I just really think it depends on what they really like. I just really don't know what they're valuing because could they go like, I'm not even that crazy high on him, but like, could you go with a guy like Moloch at 3? Like if you really want to like shore up that backup 5 position, like you could run Twin Towers a little bit too with Embiid.
Yeah. I mean, I that's definitely a situation where they'd trade down a few spots, maybe with a team.
Well, Brooklyn really wants to trade up.
Right.
You also have to think about what if the Spurs don't trade that pick and they overthink about it and they take a forward.
Yeah, I saw a report connecting them to Moloch.
Like you gotta, that's what I saw as well.
Maybe a 14 actually. But
it could just be smoke and mirrors, but they have Fox. They just traded for Fox, and I know.
And they have Castle.
Teams have put big assets into draft picks, some stars, and just been like, oh well, never mind. We like this guy a lot better. And I think Dylan Harper's good. I think his jumper's a little overblown in terms of the negatives. Same. I think a lot of things what they say and view wise and just like film wise is a lot of what people said about Damian Lillard coming to the league. And if you look when he's contested, you look when he's sped up, his numbers actually look better. So I think that's a good translation thing. I think they should take Harper, but I would not be shocked if they overthink about it, or if even they trade out and someone overthinks about it. And next thing you know, you got Harper at your. But then again, you got 3 young guards that are potential all-star caliber players. And at the Sixers, are they even going to take Harper at that point?
I just think the problem for me with Harper to the Spurs is like I would take him if I stick at 2 just because he's the best talent. Like number 2, you don't draft for fit, but like you need wing and forward depth back.
I'm going to tell you my Spurs take. I say they take Harper, and they take Maxime Renaud
at 14.
Yep. And they build. You go Harper, and he's kind of that Shea mold.
Okay.
And then you go stretch 4 in Reno or Wemby, and you go kind of stretch big in 5 Reno / Wemby, and you build your own. You follow that OKC Hartenstein, Chet,
Mm.
Shea kind of trio, and then like you
Mhm.
said, they need a forward, so they got to find the forward of the future. But I don't necessarily love all the forwards unless you want to take a swing on someone.
They have a
I'm
second.
not.
There's a
I'm
lot of
thinking.
wings.
I'm looking at next draft, and depending on how the college season goes, you could have someone fall that's a
Mhm.
forward. I feel like next draft has a lot of forwards. You got the Boozer twins. You got
They have a ton of assets just to buy it though on like role player forwards.
Mhm.
if they want.
yeah. I think they'll be fine. I think that's what I would do if I was the Spurs right now. I'm really high on Reno. I have him top. I think he's like my
Yeah.
20th prospect or something like that.
Lottery for Reno is pretty high. I think the highest I've seen him is like 25-ish. At 14, if I
Yeah.
was the Spurs, though, I'd probably be looking at like a Carter Bryant or a Neat Clifford, like get a wing defender. Because
I wouldn't mind Clifford.
roster,
Or
there's
Boyles if he
kinda
falls.
it's kind of lacking perimeter defenders right outside of
Is Cedric Coward at 14 a reach?
probably
From
not.
what I've seen,
Probably not.
no. But
Because I think like honestly, in my mock I have him going 13 to Atlanta.
hey, shout out Cedric Coward.
Yeah.
I love that guy. He is a great guy. He deserves nothing but the best. But man, it's so weird seeing him fucking projected in the lottery.
He's had a
One more-
crazy rise.
Yeah, one more thing.
Crazy rise.
Before I have to head out, I want to ask you guys all this, but I want to hear what Drew has to say, especially. This is a Timberwolves question. So we've got pick 17 in this draft.
Mhm.
I think that we're going to draft a big man,
Okay.
and I'm kind of looking at, and the options aren't
I
great,
know.
but I'm looking at Thomas Sorber, Asa Newell,
Yes.
and Danny Wolf, all kind of in that range. Like I want to hear your thoughts on those three, and like who are you the highest on and why?
Yeah, so I am a big Thomas Swarber fan. I think his wingspan measured in at 7'6". And I think he stands 6'10". So he definitely can play the center, because kind of the question with him during the season was, is he a 4 or 5? Like he's a little small. He's a below the rim finisher, so like he's not a vertical threat by any means. But I definitely think he'll be like a very solid rim protector. And then as like a short roll passer, I think he flashed some skill there as well. Kind of reminded me of like Robert Williams, but not as
I like that.
vertically gifted. And then like I think he has a good face-up game as well, just like scoring bag. I don't really buy that he's ever going to be a shooter, like a stretch 5 at all. The jumper's not terrible. It's workable, but it's not like something I'm probably going to buy. But I think out of those three, he probably has the best possible outcome. Asa Newell to me is kind of just like a rim running 5, who's not really the best.
He's kind of like a 4-5 tweener too.
Yeah, which I'm never a big fan of like tweeners. Like it kind of reminds me of like what PJ Hall was last year.
Or like it's like a non-stretch version, like non-spacing version of like John Collins.
Marvin Bagley. Like I don't like that. I
Yeah.
don't like either.
Newell has been projected lottery, so if he falls and
I think he's gonna
like
fall.
if a lot of your bigs are taken off the board, I don't mind Newell, but I agree. I like Sorber a lot. I just talked about Reno. I think fuck it. Reno skilled bigs it's the modern NBA. Skilled bigs are really
Danny
valuable.
Wolf also a very skilled big as well.
Yeah, I think like go ahead.
The defensive like question marks with him kind of suss me out a little bit. And he has high turnover as well. And the jumper isn't elite. Like it's good, but it's not like 40%. He kind of reminds me of like Hedo Turkoglu. If I had to come up with a jump for him. But Sorber kind of reminds me of like Onyeka and Conwood too. So I'd be interested if the Hawks took him because they need a center. But yeah.
And I like you said, the Sorber, the passing out of the short roll, that's also a really valuable skill set. I think with modern basketball, Noah just really doesn't fit it unless you're going with transition and he develops kind of that transition kick out game, which I don't really see. Like
I think you would need
have to switch up his game.
For him to really develop to be a high-end role player, I think, Newell, I think you would have to go to a place. I think me and Matthias had him mocked to Atlanta just because, like, He needs to go to a place where like there's an elite playmaker that can spoon feed him
He
above
needs
the
to get
rim.
the ball as much in his hands.
Yeah.
I do think out of a lot of the like top bigs, Newell probably has the best chance of becoming like an actual legit shooter. Maybe him or Queen. But if I had to buy between like Malawach, Queen, Sorber, and Newell, I think Newell probably has the best chance of becoming like an.
If Queen falls to Minnesota, you take him, obviously.
Well, that would be crazy at 17.
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't think he should go past Washington. Washington at
I've seen
6 is
some
like
crazy things about Queen, dude. I agree. I don't think you should go back past Washington, but his testing was so bad, and I'm such a Queen believer. I say this as a Queen believer. I really thought he would test better athletically, but film doesn't lie. He looked like a good switch defender. He has great touch. That jumper looks ugly, but I don't care. You got Halliburton fucking dropping 30-point triple doubles in the playoffs. So I don't. If it goes in, it goes in. But
yeah,
Queen is one of those guys where also like we said we expect Newell to drop. I think Queen he's someone that I could see going 6. I could see going like 18.
Yeah.
All right, I do have to
There's
head
a lot
out.
of question marks.
Yeah, no worries.
Now, guys. So, all right.
Well, appreciate you coming on, Ryan. You have a good night.
Yeah.
You
Great
guys.
seeing you, Ryan.
See you,
Enjoy your
guys.
night.
You
Who
too.
you got tonight? What's your prediction?
Pacers in overtime.
There you go.
Okay.
See you guys.
Sure.
See ya.
I actually wanted to talk about, I mean, I'm glad we were talking about that a little bit because I think really the big man run is kind of in that range that Ryan was talking about, 17 to late first. I am also a Sorber guy. Like, I think that he's probably the best. Like, if you're looking for a playable center who's not going to be a detriment on either side, like a high floor guy, I think he definitely is probably going to be your pick. Like, he might not have a ton of defensive like upside with like limited verticality and athleticism, but like on defense, but I don't think he's like an absolute detriment there. And then on offensively, I think he has some talent, obviously. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the rise. We were kind of talking about Coward earlier, but like, how do you guys kind of see like all these wings starting to fall personally? Like Coward, Fleming, Bryant, Asenge, obviously. I know Matthias is super high on Asenge. I like him a lot as like a top 10 guy. I know some people are lower on him. Like I've seen Asenge on big boards in the late teens, 20s, projected sometimes. I would take him higher than that. But
yeah, I think I had him 19 on the last one I did. It's only because I have barely watched any of his games.
I know.
Yeah.
For the
some
foreign guys, it's
questions.
so hard to
There's
keep
some
up with.
questions. And I think oh my god, I'm so bad at remembering fucking Twitter names. But I'm sure you guys know me. They do a great job. They talked about he's a little bit of a slow processor. So that's my only worry with Asenge is that will that processing like kind of like be able to take the NBA speed?
Yeah.
And I think when you look at the athletes that he's playing with ULM, very questionable. I know it's the grown men saying, but it's not like Wemby.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Wemby was playing in one of the strongest leagues other than EuroLeague. Like that French league is a good league.
Yeah.
And Noah's not. He's playing in a league. Is he playing in the German league or what is he playing in?
He's playing in the German league. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
In somewhere in Germany. But,
and I think that's a step below, and that adds a question. It's one of those things where it's like, is he really playing against those D1 centers that didn't really go pro and they're still grown men? You look at it, not really. It's more of just German guys that grew up playing at universities in Germany.
And you compare that to a guy who's projected late first, early second, in like Hugo Gonzalez, who's like he's playing at Real, and he barely plays because the team is so good and the league is so good.
Yeah.
But like he projects super highly because the fact that he's getting 12 minutes a game on that good of a EuroLeague team is
Mhm.
impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's similar to how Luka was. Like Luka being
Yeah.
the star and MVP of a team that's
At like 17, yeah.
Insane.
I don't know how some team took Marvin Bagley ahead of him. That was just
Oh my
or
god.
DeAndre.
didn't their GM like hate him? His
I don't
like
even
somewhat.
remember.
And then
yeah.
the Suns didn't like were the Suns like hired his like
Well, the
overseas
Suns had the
coach.
yeah,
had
but
won.
the
They
Aiden
drafted
connection in
Aiden.
Arizona was too deep, and Aiden was a really high.
Aiden was a good prospect.
The only
Yeah.
pick I understand is Aiden over Luka. That's it.
Mhm.
Aiden was one of like his 3-point never really developed, but he was supposed to be one of those skilled bigs that kind of
Yeah.
came in, but he just never.
Yeah, Bagley was
He
crazy
still-
at Duke though.
He was supposed to be LaMarcus Aldridge like on steroids, and he kind of just turned
Mhm.
into like LaMarcus Aldridge light. But
I had a friend in high school who was the biggest Marvin Bagley supporter / defender ever. I don't know why. Yeah, but like all these other wing guys though, like I've
I'm
just
not
seen so much
the-
rise out of them. Like Coward has been a
Yeah.
crazy rise. Like he was projected 40s, and now he's projected to go
Mhm.
lottery.
Yeah, that I'm shocked by that. I'm obviously as a Coug, I'm high on Coward no matter what. Like I think I had him second round no matter what, but
Mhm.
he has just skyrocketed. My latest mock, I think I had mocked to OKC.
Kai, that's not have that
Yeah.
happen, please.
OKC's taking a wing for sure at 15. Like
that's the
for
prototype.
sure.
That's a J-Dub prototype. Just
Mhm.
have him.
It's
and he's a
him,
little more
Nate
off ball.
Clifford, or I think it's him or Nate Clifford.
Yeah, and I like him over Nick Clifford. I think Nick Clifford
Yeah.
can be a good player, but if I'm in that position as OKC as an established team, I'm taking that swing on Coward. I'm trying to think other forwards. Ace Bailey, we kind of talked about him. Who else is there? I feel like I mean, he's more of a shooting. He's a true shooter. On Constantinople, not high on him. I think
You're
he's
not-
got some big question
Trey
marks.
Johnson as well. I'm pretty high on Trey Johnson.
I like Trey Johnson's game.
I buy him. I buy him a lot.
Constantinople,
I
I
agree.
think he's gonna be.
I'm
a
selling
JJ Redick.
McNeely. McNeely is a sell.
Oh, I am so out on McNeely. I don't even have him in the top 40. Not a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I
people
see him-
project him
I've
first
seen him
round.
projected
That's
like
absurd.
first round, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Was it?
Well,
He was
have him in
projected
the
like
lottery, and I
lottery.
wanna,
I
like,
remember a lottery and top 10 projections at the beginning of the year. I remember. I think me and Drew actually talked about this during the college season. Like we were seeing like a early big board draft. It was like, oh, he's not actually that good on offense and he can't play defense. So what the hell is he projected?
Yeah,
Hey, he's a shooter, but he can't shoot.
He's a shooter, yeah. It's like in Moneyball. It's like if he's a good hitter, why doesn't he hit? Like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think who else. I'm trying to look at the guards. I'm looking
Fleming.
Yegor Demon is kind of a
Murray
wing
Boyles.
guard.
Igor.
He's
I'm
6'9".
not really thought about Igor.
Not a fan of Igor either.
I think he's one of those guys where it's the theory of him.
You love
Yeah.
tall. You love tall guards who can't play offense. Matthias.
I don't like him though. I don't like him.
Okay, I was about to say. I was like, this is.
I've
about to
actually
say,
been an Igor,
Bro's Killian
hater throughout BYU.
I know.
But
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk of
I
him
get
like
the
pretty much
appeal.
locked to go like top 10-ish.
yeah,
Yeah, I've
I
seen
would
a lot
probably
of
take him.
goals.
I don't mind him mid-teens because I get the upswing because if he does hit, because he does have some translatable skills and potential. So I understand. It's kind of like it's the boiling pot of gold.
I think he's the best playmaker in this draft, but that still doesn't move me enough to want to draft him in the lottery. Like his scoring.
I just don't think he creates enough advantages to capitalize on his playmaking.
Yeah,
I think Trey Johnson.
He's the best passer in the class. I should say, not playmaker.
Trey Johnson.
No,
I think with Trey Johnson, if he gets some NBA development around him and some better talent coming around him, I think he showed flashes as a playmaker throughout the season, and even a guy who might not have shown crazy flashes, but just because of the offensive load he's had, in college, like Jeremiah Fears' offensive load as a reclassified true freshman.
Yeah, he should be a senior, or I guess would have been a senior in high school.
Graduating high school this.
And he was playing in the best conference in the country and like carrying an offensive load for like a tournament team. Like, I don't know.
And he creates. I did a stat. We looked at his analytics. His he's so good out of the pick and roll, and he actually creates so many advantages. If you look at a lot of college guards, like they create a certain amount for themselves on the pick and roll, and then if you look at their passing advantages, they don't create like. But Fears does. Like Fears is creating open threes on almost every single pass that he's passing out of a pick and roll, which is so valuable, which means he's making those reads. And also, he's just so good against pressure. And it's kind of weird watching him because you watch him and he kind of is erratic, but he takes care of the ball.
Mhm.
His points per possession actually go up against doubles and against hard
Yeah.
edges, which is kind of shocking for a college guard, especially saying that he's 18. He's the third youngest player in the draft.
Yeah,
Um,
and he's tiny too. Like
But
because he's so
he's-
young. He's so young.
he measured in at a true 6'4" though, didn't he? Or 6'3.5"?
I think it was
wasn't
6'2.5" in shoe or without shoes. Excuse me. So it'd be like
6'2.5". Okay.
6'3.5".
But like his frame though, like you're saying, he's a reclassified freshman. He's should be graduating high school right now. Like imagine if you were like, oh, this is his level, and then he's gonna have a year of like
College.
SEC college develop like weightlifting. Imagine he gets an NBA program. I personally, for me with Fierce, I'm not sure what they do, but you guys are talking about Queen to Washington. If they go guard, I really like the Fears fit for them because I think they have the defensive prospects right now, but defensive talent to be able to mitigate him as with that frame. And I think there's guys there that might not be quality shooters yet, but they are capable and they understand their role as like a 3-and-D prototypes.
Yeah.
Keyshawn George his three's gonna come back. I have complete faith. I have so much. I was high
Bro
on
should have
him.
been bro should have been a buck, bro.
Okay, I'm going on track. These Washington sports teams are
And then they ended up on the same
doctoring me.
team.
They keep taking every single player that I like, and I end up just liking all these Washington sports teams. But Keyshawn George was the most obvious diamond in the rough I've ever seen in my life.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I was so high on him. I loved it.
Obvious diamond in the rough.
Yeah, I know you were a big Bub guy too.
Yep.
They got both of them.
I had Bubba as my second best guard of the draft. I had Steph Castle 1 and him 2. But last year's draft was by far the most on par I've been on any draft.
I had Bub in the same tier as Reed Shepard. Like that's how I was that high on him.
I think I had him over Reed. I was not high on Reed.
I wasn't either. I had McCain over Reed. I didn't think he was that like I don't know, small guard who like isn't a true point guard. Kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially now that he's on the Rockets and there's no real playmaker there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Hey, how do you feel about a Trey Johnson to the Spurs?
Oh, I would love that fit.
Yeah, I feel like
Fox, you got the playmaker. Just go get that shooter scorer.
I feel like his game is similar. His scoring game, at least, is similar to Devin Vassell's. So you'd have to that'd be a weird fit, but
yeah, I think Vassell's kind of done his time. You kind of figure out who he is as a player, and if you can bring in a guy that can, because from my view, they traded for Fox because he's the guard they want to try to compete now. They want
the ball in his hands.
They want the ball in his hands. So why, unless you can trade or draft someone that you think can play off the ball, or all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe this guy's better on the ball. I get it, but from my point of view, it seems like they need a guy that can score off the ball. And Vassell and Keldon Johnson haven't quite shown that.
Yeah.
And I think getting someone like Trey Johnson who can be like a tertiary playmaker, move off ball and be a scorer would be key. But also that kind of feels like a reach at 2, and you could see them trading their pick anyways and trading down or just trading for a vet because they're trying to compete now. Wemby's
honestly, we keep talking about these two teams, but if the Spurs and Wizards found a way to swap picks, I think that would be like perfect for both teams.
Yeah. Wizards end up with Dylan Harper, and you get Trey Johnson at 6.
Trey Johnson, or you can.
If he makes it there, because I don't know if he makes it to 6. Because
Utah probably.
It's
Utah
it's 4? Sixers, Hornets, Utah.
Oh, Hornets, Utah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he probably makes it past the Hornets. I don't think they would take him.
No.
I think they might
I-
put Malak up their board
Yeah,
a
I
little
don't think
bit.
the Sixers would either. The Sixers, I do actually think trade back, but I don't think they take Noah Senga. I think they get Colin Murray Boyles.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind calling Murray Boyles just
For that same reason, just
drop
because I
guy.
know that Colin Murray Boyles is like, for a big, for his size, I think is an elite playmaker.
Yeah, he can come and pass and defend immediately.
He's like
I like that.
Yeah, he's like a way better version of Ryan Dunn. Like a way better
Yeah,
version
he
of
kind of
Ryan.
reminds me. I know everyone says the Draymond comparison because it's like he's a 6'7" like forward, but he does kind of give me that like Draymond Green style of play.
Yeah, I like his playmaking upside as a wing, and with them needing that, because they're pretty much locked into that Paul George contract, so they better pray to God that he can be at the very minimum a decent movement shooter next year.
Yeah.
Or
can move at all.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what he had a
knee
injury, hip injury.
They need someone to do the dirty work, dude. Because I'm so sorry, they're all so soft.
Yeah,
they're all so soft. They have a Cavs problem. The Sixers and the Cavs have the same problem. No one wants to do the dirty work on the team, and the players that they tried to get to rebound and play defense and kind of be a disruptor, I believe, as Draymond would call it. They don't do it well enough.
Yeah,
and it's just like I think Colin Murray Boyles is just a great disruptor.
Mm-hmm. He's a little thing.
He's come in, let him wreak havoc.
Yeah,
but drop good passes. He's high IQ, patient on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Even has enough wiggle that like if he gets tossed a grenade with 4 seconds and he has to get to the rim, I trust him a little bit.
Yeah, he has good one-on-one scoring instincts. Like he's a good interior shot creator.
Yeah.
Obviously,
so I think he's a great win now pick.
Mm-hmm.
I would not mind that pick at 3. I've bounced him at 3 as well. That was my original pick actually for the Sixers, and I kind of went with Noah because I'm Noah Pill to this point.
I gotta watch more of his games. I guess I gotta watch like 4 or 5 games.
The thing that attracts me is rapid improvement and linear rapid improvement, because very rarely is development linear, and it's what attracted me. So for instance, it's what people like about Cedric Coward, and I'm not as high on Coward even as a WCU guy. I was really high on Jalen Wells last year, but this is what really attracted me to Jalen Wells last year in terms of his game was he went from Sonoma State, WCU, to the pros, and even the draft combine, he somehow showed improvement while upping his difficulty, as you should say, each level. And I think that's very key, is that linear improvement shows that, yeah, maybe he struggled as a free throw shooter early on in the year, but he's shown that he's so coachable and so malleable, kind of again with what Giannis showed that as well coming into the draft, that you have belief that he will develop. And that's why I'm so I have belief that Noah will be a good player in the league, is that I think you just look at his development, and no one develops that fast unless they're really putting in that work, both X's and O's and physically. And that's kind of the selling point for me.
Yeah. Okay.
So one thing I also was thinking of asking you guys, we talked about bigs in the first round. I feel like there's a lot of like middle to late second round like centers that seem to be kind of all over the place. Like they might get drafted if a team needs a big. How do you guys feel about that position groups depth wise? Like I'm kind of intrigued, like as like a late second round pick and like a guy like Niederhauser from Penn State. And then there's the guy from China, is it?
Hansen Young.
Yeah. Which
I like him. He's a good passer.
I do too, yeah. Yeah, he kind of gives me like Andrew Bogut vibes. Maybe not as good defensive.
Yeah.
But I know he fouls a lot.
Yeah.
Like he jumps at everything.
Yeah. He's got some defensive development to do, but he's really intriguing offensively. I like him. Like I've said, I like Reno. I like God, I'm so bad with names. I have to look at these.
Kalkbrenner. I kind of like Kalkbrenner just as like I think he'll be pretty solid. Like he'll come in and just be like a good backup big. You just play drop coverage.
I wouldn't mind taking an Amari Williams pick as well.
Yeah,
I don't mind
Amari Williams intrigues me quite a bit too.
I think he's got some pop in terms of what the next step he can take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danny Wolf, I know Ryan brought him up earlier. I'm not the highest on Danny Wolf. I don't know if I'd take him in the first round. I think he's kind of a borderline first round talent for me. But
you guys said you guys did like Reno?
I like Reno. Some people
I don't know if I really like
lottery,
but the offensive skill is very intriguing. It's just it kind of worries me, like bigs who aren't good defensively. I know he kind of improved a little bit towards the back half of the season. But like bigs who can't defend well kind of freak me out a little bit, especially picking in the top 20. But
with me, I saw an interview which kind of might have been propaganda, honestly. But he fucking talked about how about halfway through the season, like you said, him and his coach kind of discussed defensive philosophy, and he shifted his defensive philosophy and some of the scheme stuff, and it helped. So that kind of shifted me from, I don't think he can be a defensive player to, I think it's kind of like a mental thing, like education thing he can learn. He's athletic, he's got the frame. But for me, I have him as like the 22nd ranked on my big board. So I'm okay with reaching for him at the end of the lottery in terms of if I think it's a good fit. But I know Jeff's kind of over the stretch big dilemma in Milwaukee, but I would not mind Reno in Milwaukee at all.
Oh, I wouldn't either. I mean, here's my thing with the stretch big thing is I think that just a lot of teams force themselves into the thought process of wanting spacing, and then they force that spacing as like these stationary catch and shoot fives that really don't offer much other offensive versatility. And they kind of pigeon themselves. I mean, for me with the Bucks, and I know I've talked to Drew about this as well. Like, I'm not necessarily saying I know there's some Bucks fans who are like, I don't want to stretch five. Like, having a stretch five with Giannis is a positive. Like, I'm not going to ever sit here and try to pretend that it isn't. But I think that there's other ways you can still space the floor with a non-shooter. You just have to be creative, I guess. But the problem is Doc Rivers is our head coach. So unfortunately that's how that goes. But I think there's a role, and I think that though if you're not relying on a guy like that to do too much, I think it can be helpful. And I think it just also opens up opportunities. Like for a team like the Bucks, it's like, okay, well, if you can get a decent younger stretch five that's more affordable, who allows you more flexibility, okay, well, that allows you to play, a guy like, I'm really not even that much of a believer in him at this point, but like Andre Jackson, like he can play more if your center is an actual shooter, an actual shooter. And plays within his role shooting the ball, which is another problem we've had in Milwaukee. Brook Lopez just likes to chuck. So,
early shot clock 30.
Game wide open early shot clock pull.
Yeah, it's bad. But I just do. I think what'll happen with the Bucks at least is I think Bobby's gonna opt in. I think we're gonna go into the season with him as our starting five. To be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a Will Riley pick for Milwaukee as well if he's available. I like Riley.
Yeah, man, we have like
that wing shooter.
Yeah,
we have the 47th pick, but we also have the flexibility now that we're not at the second apron. We can buy a second rounder. Like, a team like Brooklyn, who's at the top of the second round, like, are they bringing in like 6 rookies? Probably. Not, probably not.
No, I'm assuming Milwaukee's making a draft trade.
They're definitely. In this draft,
be honest or not.
Yeah, I think with all the opt-ins too, like the 47th pick is just in this draft is like, might as well just be a UDFA player. Like if you're gonna get any value out of the draft, you're gonna have to get in the early second round or like late first.
I mean, I really want them to take a flexible playing wing who can shoot. Like, I really wanted Coward before he started drafting up the board. But I think I was watching film on the Duke guys, Proctor and
Sion James
yesterday. I look at either of those guys. I think I'd be pretty okay with. Drake Powell's another guy that I'm intrigued by because he's young. He was a high-ranked recruit that didn't really find his way at like a big program, and North Carolina kind of has been struggling as a whole, kind
You
of
can't
the last
develop
few.
pros, bro.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, well, he shot like 36% from three. Like, he projects as a good NBA shooter. He's like, he has pretty good technical understanding of moving off the ball on offense, and like he projects as a at least decent defender. And it's like, okay, well, like if you can get a guy like that to play on the wing, it's like, okay, well, you have like a 20-year-old or 19-year-old, I don't know how old he is, version of like Torian Prince, which is like, okay, he's not slow and unathletic anymore.
Yeah.
For me, at least. And I really like Sion James a lot. I tweeted out a clip last night. I tweeted out a clip, though, like him on defense kind of concerns me, like off ball. Like he gets lost a lot. Like he gets lost a lot. Like he ball watches, he tries to go for steals and jump in lanes that just don't need to. Like I tweeted out a clip of it's like a Malak is on like a center, and then Flag is guarding the ball handler, and like Sion like jumps into the lane of like where the screen's coming from, and then his guy like backdoor cuts, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, you have a really good rim protector and one of the best defenders in college basketball in this action. Like, what is your thought process doing? And he did that a lot. So that kind of concerns me. But maybe if you're like, go follow, like his on-ball defense is pretty good. Like he stays vertical. He like uses he's like bigger. Like, he's an older guy. He was a grad transfer, so like, that's interesting. But I think the problem with me for this draft is there's not a lot of wings, and I think they're going to get pushed up the board.
Yeah,
a lot. Like I think that's why Coward you're seeing rise. Fleming, I've seen that people are starting to cool down on a little bit, but I'm like,
I like Fleming, but you know what? My pro comparison for me. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Alfred Camino.
Yeah,
and that's a good player. He's gonna come in, shoot corner threes, and play good defense. Really good defense.
But like that's my point though. Like if there's not like usually the draft is littered with like these tweener guys that just become wings. I feel like now this draft is like there's a lot of like tweener guard players, and like
there's a lot of players.
There's a ton of like weird center prospects.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm saying. Like
skill wise, like
if you're like if you're like project to be good on defense and you can shoot even a little bit, like you're going to get pushed up teams' boards, because I think there's less and less teams are really needing to shoot for. Like there's probably 3 teams that I think need to like shoot for the stars on their draft pick. Like they need to swing. Like probably like in their all 2 of them are picking top 6 with Washington and Utah, and then probably like the Bulls.
Yeah,
I don't know who else is like
Blazers.
swinging for
I want the Blazers to take a swing, but they're at 11 or whatever, so they're not in a position to take a swing.
Yeah,
but even for the Blazers, it's like you got to start trading some guys then if you're going to take a swing and to develop a guy, because like what are they going to be like you're going to draft another like guard, like use the swing and be a guard? You have like 5.
We just don't have our guy. Like I think. We just don't have our guy, and you got to take a swing until you find that guy, unless we want to be in play-in and playoff hell for like 4 years and then go back into rebuild mode. It's just Blazers are in a tough position right now. Just like I see doomed for mediocrity again.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get some luck in next year's lottery because there's a lot of really good players.
It's over,
especially at the top end. But yeah,
I have given up.
Yeah, if it didn't happen this year, it's probably never happening. So
I am no longer.
They had that fake ass run.
I am a basketball fan.
They had like that fake ass stretch of like what they won like 11 out of 13 or something that put them out of like
yeah, stretch. He started catching fire.
That's the same thing with the Bulls, dude. Like that fake ass Giddey run for like 20 games at the end of the year put them at 12 instead of fucking top 6. So, like they would have been top 3.
You
if
better
they
be
didn't-
shooting 38% from pull-up through.
You cut out there for a second. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
God, my Wi-Fi is just tweaking. I feel like I'm
Sorry.
just like, I just dropped.
That's tough. Yeah. I mean, I think though, like this draft should be interesting though, because I think a lot of teams that have a ton of like Brooklyn has 4 firsts and they have a second. So they have 5 draft picks. Like, are they really bringing in 5 rookies? Like, their
They
team
might
sucks.
need
Like,
to.
maybe they do.
Yeah,
Maybe
they
they do.
Right.
But,
They might
like-
end up trading Cam Johnson and
Well, they're trying to move. I've heard that
McCloud.
they're trying to move up by trading Cam to a team that's like not looking to be ass. Like,
They have 8 and then 19.
I know they want to get in the lottery. They have 8, 19, and then 26 and
a couple
27.
of 20s picks, yeah.
You go get Fears or Trey Johnson, and then get Sorber or like another guard that has some playmaking mid post.
And also, they're in a weird spot too, because like,
and
do
build
they
build that guard big chemistry.
well, they're in like a weird spot too, because it's like, do they trade Claxton? Do they re-sign Cam Thomas? Like, what are they? Because they operate weird. They operate weird as hell. Like
They do operate weird. I would maybe keep Clax, but Thomas is gone.
Yeah.
I think.
Who wants Cam
you gotta-
Thomas though?
Who cares? You gotta just do what's best for the team's
Yeah, I
future.
guess.
And if you're in between,
I won't say what GM was probably interested in.
I
signing
don't.
him.
But I'd like Cam
I
Thomas.
think we had
I
rumors
wish him
about
the
trading
best.
him, too.
But if I'm a
Yeah,
GM,
no.
I'm
Hey,
gonna
bro.
pick Jeremiah Fears or
Signing
Trey
trade.
Johnson's potential
I'll
over
give
Cam
I'll give Cam Thomas $20 million if it gets fucking Kyle Kuzma off my team.
Oh man. I
could go on like an hour rant about how dumb that Kyle Kuzma trade, and I
Oh my
could have gone
God.
on like a 45-minute
Yeah.
rant about how dumb it was.
The best
second
part
it
is
happened.
they didn't need to do that to get into the first 8.
Mm-mm.
Like if they were gonna, my thing is like if you were gonna dump AJ Johnson, like you could have dumped like AJ Johnson on a team that had cap space that was bad.
Yeah.
Like I would have been fine with it if it's like if they just traded Pat and AJ Johnson for nothing, they would have gotten under the second apron. And also, they went and got under the second apron and then didn't make any trades that were illegal.
No, their next move after that was
Good
getting
joke.
Jericho Sims and Kevin Porter Jr. Like that was it.
for one for one.
Terrible moves. Terrible moves.
Yeah.
I mean, KPJ was like fake good, but now all like the ball don't stop Bucks fans like are insisting on
Yeah,
him.
that mid range.
And now he's gonna tie you into a friggin' $20 million contract, and you're toast.
Yeah.
I think he
Toast,
picks up his.
goodbye.
I wouldn't mind if he
God.
just picks up. If he picks up his $3 million player option, I'm fine with that. But I would not give him. Rollins is better than him.
Easily. Yeah. Rollins
I
defense.
probably need to get going, but I want to hear you
No
guys.
worries.
Who's your guy at the draft, and who do you think is the, I guess, most overrated player who you think should fall the most in this draft? Like, who's
Ooh.
someone you're not high on, and who's someone that you're really high on?
Someone I'm low on compared to other people.
Yeah. Do you want like any guy or like? Do we want?
It can
like,
be
a
anyone.
real-
I'm really high on Reno, and then
Yeah.
I'll say I guess Knoepel, or I'm trying to think.
I'm just trying to look at a big board. Just to like remind myself of these names.
I mean,
I
Jace
think-
Richardson, I guess I'm kind of low on. Aston Newell, depending on where you see him mocked, I'm really
Yeah.
low on
I'm-
him.
I would say I'm pretty low on Kasparis. Like I really don't like him that much. Like I think that's like I think he's like low key like a Giddy clone. Like if your only positive is playmaking,
Yeah, it's
You
like
need the
pick and roll
ball.
playmaking too. It's like not even like playmaking. Like he can't really playmake for himself or like create any shot for himself. Like he has one move, he has a step back jumper, and that's about it.
yeah.
And then like
Yeah,
a
his
passer, but
his base case scenario is worse Halliburton.
yeah, kind of like Goran Dragic, like just come off.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I like that. And Dragic was a good player. Like I
He was, yeah. I think it was a
player, but he's got questions. And as a prospect, I agree.
I
I
don't
was
think he has
originally high on
downhill-
Kasparis.
I don't think he has the downhill scoring though that like a Dragic had.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he has that type
I thought he had a more melodic handle than he did, and then it's just like I don't know. I get that.
Yeah, I think I'm low on Kasparis. The guy that I think I'm gonna stamp as my guy is Hugo. I think I'm gonna stamp Hugo as my guy. I think he's gonna go a lot higher than people think. Like he's been projected like maybe late first, early second. Like I think there's a chance he's going in the early to early 20s, late teens. I think there's a chance. I just think that he's young. He plays for a good team. He has a ton of like the really like intangible basketball traits that teams love. And I think they could a team that wants one of those like Denny-ish wings, Denny Avia type wings, I think could take the swing on him.
Yeah.
Especially in those late teens.
Player I'm low on, I'll just say Ace Bailey. I'm not the biggest Ace Bailey fan. I don't really see upside with him. Like some people do, the handle just isn't there for me to pick him as like a potential shot creator. You know, like best case scenario is Michael Porter Jr., which is a solid player, but like I see him being like more of like a TJ Warren for most of his career. And I don't really buy the defensive upside either. The player I'm high on, I already talked about Sorber. I really wish LeBaron Philon had stayed in this draft because I was like really, really high on him. Like I had him at like 6 or 7, I think.
Where did he transfer again?
No, I think he just stayed at Bama.
Oh, he stayed at Bama for some reason.
Yeah, because Mark Spears is gone. I'm assuming he's going to run point guard for them next year, which will be fun to see actually. But another player, I'll say probably Nolan Traore, just because I was super high on him as U18s.
Yeah,
that's a good one. That's another one of those guards from overseas that I think teams could.
I buy the shot. I think he shot it better in the calendar year of 2025, and he's an advantage creator like hell. Like it's every possession, it feels like. But
yeah, he's got someone if he can figure that off the dribble shooting. It's key. Him and Fears are kind of similar, but I don't worry about his turnovers as much as Fears, and I think he has a defensive upside. But I think Fierce is more explosive, whatever. But I really like her. But I said it after being scammed by Killian Hayes. I'm scared.
The French guards are just like
who is the? Every year there's one of those guys. Like last year was like what was the guy that the Hornets took last year?
Tijon Salon.
Yeah, there's always some foreign guy is there one of those guys? I'm trying to think. Is there one of those guys in this draft? I feel like there's really.
It could be anybody. It could be Gonzalez. It could be Trur. It could be Singh.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of foreign.
2 years ago was Bilal Coulibaly, who actually I'm pretty high on.
You were talking about Coward being a second round target who ended up going first round. That's how I was with Coulibaly. I was one of those guys that was watching a bunch of those Wemby games, and I was like, Bilal Coulibaly. That was when the Blazers didn't have their first round pick. I was like, that's who we need to take, and then we didn't take Rayan Repair, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. But it could have been him on steroids and Coulibaly.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up then for us. Appreciate anyone who's made it all the way to the video. Appreciate Drew coming on to the show.
Yeah, it was nice talking.
Yeah, of course. I'll throw Drew's socials in the description of the video if you guys want to check out what he talks about. And anyways, peace out.
Peace.
Peace.